Everybody doing good? So raise your hand if you were here last night for that amazing event, right? It was awesome. I had not seen any of those companies pitch, and it blew me away. I was so impressed. But anyways, we're here today for, as you know, 1 million cups. I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd. 1 million cups Kauffman Foundation initiative to caffeinate our entrepreneurs and grow our ecosystem via entrepreneurism. And very special guest today. A lot of the times we have companies up here who are, just starting entrepreneurs, fledgling companies, all those types of things. We really do have a great success story here. And that's part of the story that he's going to share, really personal about what the ups and downs look like in a company. But without further ado, I want to introduce Lance Stokes with Lauren James.
Hello. Okay. Hey guys. I'm probably exactly like what you expected for Lauren James and this pink kind of thing, right? Sorry my wife couldn't be here. We have a sick 8-month-old, so it's just me. So I think so. Can you hear me? Too far? I should have done the Justin Timberlake headset, I guess. So so I wanted this to be super informal. I have a little pitch deck here. It's pretty generic, and that's kind of going over our problem and solution type thing. But I wanted to give you a little background on the company and how we got started and where it all came from. So I'll dive right into that. My wife and I founded it in 2013, mid 2013, and it was really out of kind of a necessity. She was a nurse prior to the company. I'd been doing previous startups in apparel before that, trying and failing and not succeeding and learning all the right kind of mistakes to make. Well, we had our first son, Lofton James. My wife's name is Lauren. Lauren James is where it came from. She went on bed rest about 8 weeks into the pregnancy and didn't want to go back to work, really. And then she'd been sketching these dresses during that time. And all of a sudden, she was like, well, you probably read it if you've seen an article about us. It's like, well, what do you want to do? Well, she hands me this sketchbook of dresses, and I want to do this. I said, okay, we can do that. But let's, start it out with t-shirts. Let's build some capital. We don't have any money to do this, right? So we literally took a credit card, probably $1,000 limit, went to one of the local screen printers, Houndstooth in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We started buying blanks, doing designs, and 25 shirts, sold them. 50 shirts, sold them. 100 shirts, sold them. 500 shirts, 1,000. And we just started doing this thing. We were in our living room. It turned into every room in the house, makeshift printing stations. We're shipping things out, just me and her. There's this little kid running around everywhere. So it was crazy. And then eventually we were like, okay, we need an upgrade. So logical step, basement, her parents' unfinished basement. So we ended up moving up and down, however you want to look at it. That's what we did. Expanded that, started getting some wholesale attention. Stores are like, hey, I really like these designs. Our customers are coming in asking for Lauren James. And so, okay, let's make more, let's print more shirts. And at this time we're starting to build up some capital. We're starting to do some things. And in February of 2014, all of this going on, we're printing these shirts. All I'm doing in the background is what I'd been doing prior to this, is sourcing and figuring this thing out. So we launched her first private label collection, and that's, we went out to California to do tees. We were doing dresses in Dallas and some accessories, and we launched that in February of 2014. We did about $35,000 online that first day, and it's been just a rocket ship from that point on. So fast forwarding a little bit now, we're in about 650 specialty retail locations. We're about to be in Dillard's. We have a few other larger clientele, Von Maur. It's a northern to central U.S. Department store, Sun & Ski, which is regional. We have a huge growing online business. We're looking at about 250% growth online this year, and we're opening our own stores. So we have one in Fayetteville that we've been testing, and we have a store in Southlake, Texas, and a store in Plano, Texas, opening next year. So really exciting stuff. We're in an 80,000 square foot warehouse facility. We just did an expansion where we're doing some light manufacturing, screen printing and finishing, so we can be quick to market. So we're just on a tear. So that's all we've done it in 2 years. We saw an opportunity, we hit it, and we haven't, let our foot off the gas. So with that, I'll kind of go into this. Kind kind of the problem why we were so popular. We kind of noticed this trend, and you probably noticed, you see a Southern this, Southern that, it's everywhere. Southern Tide was really the one that kind of took that Southern mentality and really just blew it up on the men's side. They started in 2006, and now they're a $50 million company. So there wasn't anything in that perspective for the female consumer. It was just being poorly serviced. So the t-shirts, that whole lifestyle, we kind of went into it and really made Lauren James a Southern lifestyle. If we start in the South, we're not necessarily there anymore. We're sold in Canada, we're sold in Michigan, California, we're everywhere. But we started where we knew we would do the best and where we were the strongest. Obviously, we're 14 to 55-year-old female. Our primary customer being the 18 to 24-year-old demographic. It represents about 48% of our customer. South and Southeastern regional targeting, like I said, that's where we started. That's still where we're the strongest. We were actually bigger outside of Arkansas and still are. And that's really, I think, why we're 2 years later, we're just now kind of saying, oh, Arkansas. My mom thought I didn't have a job until about 6 months ago. So if that tells you anything. And here's where we win. We're very fast. We have 45 plus employees now. All of those are our customer, that 18 to 24-year-old consumer. So we're seeing things and changing things on the fly and constantly listening. We're not, dealing with, constant bureaucracy. We make a decision and we go with it. So we're fast. And then I mentioned we just did $1 million expansion in the back 40,000 of our warehouse. We have a state-of-the-art printing facility. And I went out to one of my California manufacturers, and that's how I was able to replicate that here. So we see something, we want to do it, we do it. We have 24 collegiate licenses, and we're growing that. So we're able to do that in that production facility. Our consumers, if you've seen our Instagram, they're absolutely insane. And it's a good thing because they love us and we love them, and they're the only reason we've grown. This omni-channel, I think it's a buzzword. You probably heard it all over the place. I think Bonobos is the latest one dropping it in Warby Parker, but it's really encompassing the entire customer from a wholesale, e-com, retail, and your own branded brick and mortar. So that's the 2 more stores. We have plans for about 10 in the next 3 years. In-house design and branding. Lauren's the complete eye of the company. She has a great eye for style and everything. I am the complete opposite. I'm just to get it done. I know how to source. I'm an operations guy. So we blend really well. That's kind of on the business model, the same thing. Our e-com business we're really, really growing there. It represents about 35% of our total overall revenue. It's wholesale, specialty retail. We're working on in-store programs now to really streamline that and give us a clear identity. And branded brick and mortar, we're working with a big retail group out of New York now, really going after, you're talking hang to fold ratios, how we transfer an image across multiple locations. This is kind of some growth stats. From 2013 to 2014, we grew 1,786%. That's pretty insane. 650 stores, we started with 30 that year before. So that gives you an idea how quickly we were able to scale. This 300%, I did this a long time ago. We're actually on pace for about 250. Still, I think we're still doing all right. And then these 5 brick and mortars have actually been upgraded to 10 by that time. So we're still growing really quickly. This is the team, probably not else what you would expect. We have, this is just the full timers. This is outdated now. It'd actually take a couple slides. We have some guys working on the inside e-com. We have 4 sales reps, 2 inside, 2 out. We have a guy just who does video for us. Content is really important to us. So quite a few people. And then this is my wife, Lauren, and our son, Lofton. So Lauren James, that's where it came from. So it's a pretty good story there. And she, like I said, is the CEO, visionary, total creative on the company. And when I did this before, this was like some previous asks. One of I think my biggest strengths and how I've been able to help guide the company into something successful is I do ask a lot all the time, everywhere. It's just, I didn't know about retail expansion. I'm doing, triple net contracts now. I'm dealing with open air shops. I've gotten a crash course in, I'm basically a real estate agent on the commercial side now. revenue timelines. How do you know when to hire people and why? Do you hire this person now? What do you pay them? How much value are they going to bring? It's all these questions. And then technology initiatives. As people who start things, like tech is everything, and you're always running into something, you're always going to grow, and you're always trying to make it fit. So we have a lot of those now. So with that, I constantly ask everyone everything that I can. Never hurts to ask. Successful people are always willing to tell you how they got there, and that's one thing I kind of really take seriously. I think that's it right there. So I really wanted to kind of be brief here, and then jump right into Q&A, because that's kind of how I prefer it anyway. So
well, let's give you a hand real quick before we start questions. So let me know if you got a question. I'll bring the mic by. Anybody?
Hi, I'm Susie with Legends of Arkansas. And what has been your biggest challenge growing this fast?
Obviously, it's, funding that expansion. That was, you don't go from 30 to 650 stores without the proper inventory in place. So we've managed to do that through traditional banking relationships, which is tough, but it was really walking in there saying, hey, we need $30,000. And they're like, for what? And we're just like, well, we're going to sell some clothes. And so it's convincing that person that first step, and then you sell it, you pay it back. Hey, we need 50. It was almost the same parallel as the shirts. It was just like 30, 50, 100. Then we ended up wrapping that up in a big SBA, $1 million SBA. And now we're cash flowing. And luckily, our e-com, when you're talking about the margins there, we've been able to cash flow the business there. And if you walk into our warehouse today, there's camping chairs everywhere. We don't spend money where it's not needed. We put it right back into the product and the process and people. So that's kind of, but it's still our biggest challenge every day. So.
Hey, really excited to see all the things that have happened for you guys this year. I'm Tim Freeman with Hark. What's the biggest unexpected challenge that you guys have faced, and how have you addressed it?
That's an easy one. So we were in Springdale in a 2,500 square foot warehouse, and I was like, all right, we're moving product. My office is 7 boxes, strategically placed. My computer's sitting on top of some of them. We're not going to do this. We're going to let the people who know how to ship, and we are going to build this marketing creative team and sales team that's just rock solid. Cool. That's exactly, okay, we're good. So, ask around, we do shopping. I look at what our competitors are doing. I saw Vineyard Vines move to a 3PL relationship, and they just went to exactly that model. So we had a good company out of Kansas City. They did shipping for Lego, Jessica Simpson's line. I was like, cool, they got this. And we moved and we got in their warehouse, and they just bombed it. Customers, I had a call where a customer they were receiving empty boxes, direct consumer. And I was like, you ship for a living. This is the opposite of what I wanted to have. So after a few heated conversations with their VP, I said he didn't like that I said a bunch of sorority girls could do a lot better job. And they do. They're awesome. Like they're very meticulous. They pay attention. It's great. They know the product, because when technology fails, their eye doesn't. They know the product. So we had that benefit. So literally, I told Lauren in the middle of last spring, that we were going to move from Kansas City back into a warehouse that I didn't have yet. And so 7 days, I managed to find a warehouse space through the Chamber of Commerce in Fayetteville. 3 days, 7 semis, and we were shipping out of a 80,000. That first 40 of the 80,000 square foot facility in 3 days. Literally setting it up. Stuff's everywhere, insane, and just like madness. And I remember the kind of like a crazy point there. If the fire marshal for Fayetteville came in, there was no lights. The lights were being hung in this facility. The sprinklers were being hung. They're like, you got to get all this stuff out of here. And I'd already moved racking in everything. I was like, yeah, it's not happening. And so we just kept going. We pushed through it. We never meant to get in the distribution side of the thing. We were never going to do that. But now we're operating. We have the systems in place. I hired a guy from FedEx who was there for 10 years, really knows how to get packages in and out. And we're streamlining that. So that's been the biggest like, oh crap moment that we've had. So
I have a question. So a lot of people associate extremely high growth, fast growth with venture funding or
Sure.
having someone come in and take a big stake, maybe be an activist of some type.
Mhm.
You guys chose to go through the debt financing route.
we did.
Can you talk a little bit strategically about why you made that decision? Did you kind of weigh the two or try to do one and then went to debt financing, or what was your thought process?
Wait, too. I mean, I think Jeff Emrine, if you guys know him from Startup Junkie, said the best time to raise money is when you don't necessarily need it. So I'm always raising money. I'm just, you're never bound by anything. So talking to people and having those VC conversations, I've had I talked to someone last week out of yesterday out of Palo Alto. We're always looking for that because you always want to be prepared where you don't run into an emergency. So we evaluated multiple sources. We had multiple term sheets presented to us, and it just never made sense. We were looking at it, we're growing so fast, we couldn't peg a valuation down. At that point, an equity investment would have been way more expensive. I mean, we've tripled our valuation in the past year. So, I mean, it just wasn't the right time for us. So
Growing so fast, you
Yeah.
can't set a valuation. That's
Yeah,
a great
exactly.
problem.
I mean, and that sounds crazy, but I mean,
Yeah, cheers for that.
that's what it is. But I mean, we evaluated both heavily. So
Hi, Joe Calhoun here. Do you experience much? Have you experienced much copying in your stuff? What's your thoughts as far as you're protecting your creative output?
yeah, copying's a big thing. I shot an email off this morning to one of our attorneys in Rogers. We get a bunch of that. So we're very proactive now. We copyright. We have our intellectual property is huge to us. We have a huge book of it because we're so out there now, and it's so fast and people respond to us so quickly. We're in the backside of this. We're trademarking and copywriting a year in advance, and then before we put anything out, and we had to learn that kind of the hard way because you'll find a Lauren James knockoff anywhere and all the time. So yeah, we're very proactive there, and we're getting more proactive. So.
Jordan Carlisle. So there's a guy that I kind of look up to in the tech world. His name's Paul Graham. He started this thing called Y Combinator. And to people who apply to Y Combinator, one of the interesting tidbits that he recommends that startup founders do if they're looking for good ideas is figure out what 18 to 24-year-old sorority girls have problems with in their life,
Mm-hmm.
and then figure out how to make a product around that, and then let it grow itself. And I think that this company kind of resembles that a little bit. But I want to know, what do you guys do to inspire new products from that demographic? What are you doing to get feedback? How do you collect that? How do you assess it?
Sure. I think it's being in the mix. Like I said, our customer is also our employee. So I would say that we're not trendy at all. The Lauren James, it's very classic. It's very it's whimsical, I would say, is something there. But when we're looking at that, we kind of look what's on trend, and then we take our own version of that and set that. So I think fast fashion is obviously everyone knows that's the huge thing. H&M, Zara, the company coming out of Ireland, and they're just pumping the market with just stuff that's cheap and it's easy. And they're like, I'll spend $5 on that and throw it away because I'll buy another one. Yeah, so it's exactly. So we kind of take that approach, but we call it fast branded fashion because we're always thinking, we're always doing something. We're not adhering to seasons. We're not doing just spring and just fall. We're constantly designing. It's constantly coming out. So we're taking that fast approach without the non-ethical manufacturing and the lack of we're just getting it out there. We're going to pump it out there. We're going to make as much money as fast as we can. So we're never going to deviate from that, but we're constantly in tune with that market, and we know what's working, what's not, and we do it our own way. So it's very genuine. I think people appreciate that. I hope they do. So.
Yeah, and I just want to say on the kind of brand, our fans love us. They're crazy. Shayna Smith, I went to school with her. She's around my age. I follow her. And she is basically Insta famous, and every other post is about Lauren James. So they really do have a true grassroots following.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, and it just clicked whenever I saw her on here. But they really do have a really good grassroots campaign.
Yeah, Shayna was our first employee. We hired a salesperson, and we had to go buy a chair for her interview. So she's been with us from day one. She's been packing boxes. I mean, just another like funny story with our warehouse in Springdale. I mean, 2,500 square feet. It's literally shotgun style, as wide as this, probably to that exit wall from where I am. We're packing boxes. We're up at the warehouse. My son's in the little roller thing, you know, that you run in. And we get to the end of the day and I can't find my keys. Like FedEx has already come. We've shipped a whole bunch of stuff. Come to find out, I mean, we had to get a ride from Lauren's parents. My son had shipped my car keys to Georgia. So, you know, it's been like crazy from day one. And it's just been, that's just how it's been. I think we're very good at projecting like, hey, from day one, people thought we were bigger than we were, because I think we put a very good face and we do it very professionally. But really, it's been a lot of people just busting their butt in the background in a hot warehouse or wherever it may be. I mean, we didn't even move into our corporate offices until this year. So it's just been crazy, and it's not, I mean, it hasn't stopped.
Yeah. So here's the part, and you kind of already did this, but we'll boil it down to one ask. If you could ask everybody in this crowd for one thing, it can be whatever you want. That's going to help you personally, help your business, whatever.
So I think what helps our business is this stuff here. My ask would be that everyone keeps participating in these things, because it's been an active thing for me in my professional career that I do these things and give back, because karma is a real thing. I'm 100%, I believe in it. So I do everything and anything. I take pretty much any meeting, because you never know who you're going to help or what you're going to say is going to resonate with someone and help them down the road. So these kind of things only amplify that mentality and that type of thing. So participate, and ask, and ask, and ask. That's it.
Okay, good. Well, everybody give it up for Lance. This was amazing. Hey, really good job. Good job, man. Good job. So that concludes the 1 million cups for this morning, but of course we're not going to kick you out. Please stay, drink coffee. We've got a lot of coffee. We've got donuts. Jordan Carlisle is going to sing and dance later, I think. But thank you all again for coming out. Stay caffeinated and have a good Wednesday.